Hello children, in today's class we are going to discuss about transfer of heat. So already we have discussed a lot regarding this topic, how does the heat flows from a hotter object to a colder object, right? So a very simple example regarding this concept you can do is when your mom is cooking, what will happen? The utensil which she has kept on the stove will pass the heat from the flame to that particular utensil, and the frying pan will become hot when it is being kept on a flame. And once the work is over and the pan is being removed from the fire, what will happen? It slowly cools down. So what is the reason behind that? Why does it cool down and how it becomes hot when it is being kept on a flame? It is because heat means, already I have told you, the flow of energy. So what will happen when you keep it on a flame? The heat is transferred from the pan to the surroundings of the vessel, and you can understand that based on this the heat obviously flows from the hotter object to a colder object. And how does this heat flow? To understand this with a simple activity, you can do it in your home itself. So to understand about this activity, what you have to do here is, just a minute. So you have to work on a simple activity. So the activity which you are going to do here is, just take two small bricks as shown in the picture, and you have to place a metal strip like this. The metal strip can be made up of aluminium or iron. Even if you have a steel scale in your home, you can even make use of that steel scale. And after that, just fix a small pieces of wax which has been showed in this picture like this. At equal distances you have to place the small pieces of wax under that metal strip, and lit a candle at one end of the metal strip. After that, after some time, you have to observe which end, how does the heat is getting transferred from the nearest end of the flame to the other end. If you notice, the first wax which you have fixed here, which is near to the flame, gets heated and it started to melt. And finally what will happen? The heat gets transferred throughout the metal strip, and finally the wax which you have placed here, it starts to melt down. So what you can do this very simple activity in your home with the help of your elders. So this process by which heat is transferred from the hotter object to the colder object is known as conduction. So normally when you consider solids, the heat is transferred by this process of conduction. So conduction is nothing but the heat is in the solids, that is from the hotter object to the colder end of the object. When a heat is transferred, that is called as conduction. And now the one more activity which you can do here is, you can take the materials of different kind, like it can be a pencil, or else a plastic scale, or else a spoon, and even they have placed a divider in this beaker. You can take any kind of vessel, or else you can take this kind of a glass beaker, and what you have to do is just pour some hot water into it and dip one end of all the materials into this beaker. After some time you have to analyze whether the heat has been flowed from this particular end to the other end, like how we have done in the previous activity. Like that you have to analyze. So the materials that allow the heat to pass through them easily are known as conductors of heat. Again I'll repeat, the materials which allow heat to pass through them easily are known as conductors of heat. And for the examples related to that materials are aluminium, iron and copper. And the materials which do not allow heat to pass through them easily are poor conductors of heat, such as if you take plastic and wood, it will not allow the heat to pass through them so easily. So those are known as the poor conductors of heat, and these poor conductors are known as insulators. Clear? And the next thing is convection. So conduction means, I have told you, generally in solids the heat is transferred from the hotter object to the colder end of the object. But in convection, what will happen? The final transfer of energy to the surface is known as convection. And convection usually it takes place in both forms, like in water as well as in the air. See here in a beaker they have kept a water where they have placed some potassium permanganate under this, and with this activity you will be able to understand how the heat is being transferred from this flame through this metal stand, and after that the heat gets transferred to the beaker which has been placed here. Similarly, you can understand the process of convection in another example by doing this kind of activity, but you have to ensure that you don't burn your hands or you don't get hurt while doing this activity. So what you have to do is just lit a candle and keep your hand in this particular position which has been shown in the picture, and you have to observe which hand is going to feel hotter. So you have to analyze that whether your hands equally feels hot, the hand above the flame as well as the hand to the side of the flame. So what is the reason behind that? The hand above the flame will feel much hot. The reason is the air gets heated because of convection. So that's why you will feel more hot when you keep your hand above the flame. On the sides, there is no convection as well as the air. There is no convection as well as the air. So what will happen? You will not feel as hot as you keep your hands on the top. So these are the two things, like difference between the conduction and convection. This is how the heat gets transferred through water as well as through air by the process of conduction and convection. I hope you understood this concept. Let us meet in the next class, children. Thank you.